Today we are going to begin a cycle of studies entitled The Hidden Forces of Life, and it can have countless unfoldings as it happens. The theme is very broad, and depending on the connection we make, we will have its development. So let us be very sincere in our proposal, right? Of being before hidden things, so that we can dive into this great abyss which our being is and which the universe in general is, an abyss in the good sense. We are going to start from two principles so that we can organize things well. First, that everything that exists and happens on Earth and in the universe is part of a plan that is boundless. The plan itself is boundless. And everything that happens is part of this plan. Only the one consciousness, only the one and only consciousness, which we are all part of, only the one consciousness knows this plan. We know it partially, that's to say, we can manage to come to know that which is our part in the plan, which is something very tiny, because the plan is infinite. But if we manage to come to know at a certain point what our part in the plan is, this is already a grace, and it is then about to fulfill our part. The other principle is that everything that happens externally has its origin, its seed, its source within. Nothing happens outside here if it doesn't happen within the universe, within ourselves. And this that we know after it is externalized, it was created by the unknown. Everything comes from the unknown. So the first principle that we are going to use is that everything that exists and happens on the earth and in the universe is part of a plan, a boundless plan. And that only the one consciousness, the one and only consciousness, some call it God, some others call it the one consciousness. Only this knows the plan totally. We come to know our part, our role at a certain point, and this, as I said, as it has been said, it's already a grace. So we see the second principle, that everything that happens externally, everything that happens outside here, begins within. Therefore, it is the unknown that creates everything that is known. How are we going to draw closer to all this mystery? How do we draw closer to this? We draw closer, we open to the unknown, because normally we are open to obvious things. So normally we are open, we are attentive to obvious things, things that have already manifested, things that are there, things that need to be resolved, but we would not have to get so distracted with this. We would have to take care of this, but mainly look at that which is unknown, that which is not seen, that which is behind things, or which is in the root of things, in the source of things. And this can only happen if we are very attentive to our inner worlds, if we are very attentive to this inside of us. And with this, we gradually come to know this mystery. We gradually come to know all that which, for almost everyone, is very mysterious. As, for example, a part of the part of the evolutionary plan that we are supposed to deal with, we are supposed to develop. If when we perceive the external part of things, the facts, if we begin to question the cause of that, where it came from, where did it come from? This is also a question, because it may have causes on different levels of consciousness, on different levels of this internal world. So while we take care of things, while we watch this kaleidoscope of life that turns continuously, we should ask ourselves about the cause of things, the things we have to deal with. Because even our most conscious movements have always a hidden origin that we do not know. Let us say that you will say, I will consciously extend this arm, and I extend my arm. So you think that you extended your arm through your decision, right? But it wasn't. There is a hidden cause that you do not know for you extending your arm. And this hidden cause, this cause in that which is unknown, this is what made you move your arm. It was not your decision to move your arm. Do you understand? So it's very important that we are aware of our own decisions. This is a stage. But even if we do things consciously, we need to be questioning and asking where this came from, because it didn't come from our decision. The cause is previous to that. It's very important to question this, because all of us have areas within ourselves. We have areas within us that are very dark. Not only dark in the sense of being unknown, but also of being dark due to commitments we made in our intimacy with certain forces, with certain currents that circulate in the cosmos on different levels. And the great majority is born, lives, dies, is born, lives, and dies hundreds of times without knowing what happens within themselves in this internal level, without knowing what is there. Because everything we do, everything we decide, we manifest, this emerges from this sort of subterraneous place that we have in our consciousness, which is unknown by the mind. It is useless to have the mind lucid. Mind must be lucid to deal with things here, but it's not useful for this. The mind is not useful to know what happens in that subterraneous, what happens in that level. So we have to use our mind, learn how to use our mind, but even if we are learning how to use our mind, even if we don't know this well, Learn how to use the mind to have the goal of transcending the mind, of not remaining there. Even if we are working to come to know the mind, to concentrate, to be precise, to be attentive, all this mental process, the purification of the mind, taking care of thoughts, while you do all of this, you need to have the intention and the will to transcend the mind, to transcend this mental level. Because if we don't transcend the mind is also a body, right? We have a mental body. If we don't transcend the mind, if we don't have this intention, this firm intention of transcending the mind, we will never really come to know our other bodies. This is to say, the mental itself, the astral emotional body, the etheric physic, we will never come to know these bodies if we do not gradually transcend the mind, because the mind is a body. The mind is in the same family as the others. So if you don't transcend the mind, you will never come to know what you are, astrally, emotionally, physically, etherically. You really have to transcend the mind. And sometimes we are helped to transcend the mind by asking questions within ourselves, or asking questions to the universe, and the universe could even send a representative who will answer our questions. If it were the universe who sent it, everything is fine. So we really have to ask. We really have to ask what we are beyond this mind, so that we can come to know the bodies, so that we can come to know our mental mechanism, our astro-emotional mechanism, and our physical mechanism. You know that everyone, when they have something in their physical body, they go and look for a doctor. Everyone does that. Why? Because they have not transcended their mind. Because they still live in these three bodies most of the time. So they need to look for a doctor to know what they have on the physical plane. This inner source, this unknown, this remains unknown constantly. We dive there, we discover things, we get in contact with things, but these things that we get in contact with are superficial things. The depth is really, the real depth remains hidden. It is really hidden. Reality itself, that which is, this no one can find consciously. Those who say they have found may be deluded. It's possible that they are deluded, because that depth, that origin, that foundation is unknown. This is hidden. This is why we need to love the unknown very much and not be agitated before the unknown. There are people who lose their balance before the unknown. They are agitated. They want to know everything. And with this, they delude themselves, because know what? If this last point is hidden in itself, for this evolutionary level of ours, for this humanity in which we are. Therefore, this that is hidden deep down there, which we will never discover consciously, this that is hidden remains hidden in the depths of the being. And there is something that nourishes this. This is even more hidden. Do you perceive the need that we really have to love all of this, to love the unknown, and not wear out ourselves with that which is known, that which is obvious, that which has deluded us. All of this is part of our baggage. It is already part of our aura, let us say. But this, all of this must eventually be treated, organized, rebuilt, healed, in accordance with the case, healed correctly. But beyond all of this lies that which we really do not know what it is. We don't know where it comes from. We don't know where it's going to. This is not very much the human being. This is what is deep down there. This is the hidden side of life for us. And there, in this hidden place, there where we will never manage to know what is happening, there lie the forces which rule everything within our world, our universe, our being. Our soul is also moved by this hidden power. Our soul is moved by this. So we are working our soul, we are looking for contact with our soul, isn't it? We are looking for this, but we would have to love what is beyond. Because that which is hidden, that which is beyond, that which is much beyond all our imagination, this is where all forces come from. This is where life comes from. This is where that which is our reality, our foundation, that we'll never come to know comes from. This hidden side, this side that is in reality, this side manifests itself sometimes, but it has a way of manifesting itself. It has a way of manifesting itself that we cannot even perceive most of the times. So you love this hidden side. You know that this hidden side is the thing. You love this without knowing what it is, because without knowing what it is, it produces in you a love, a very special love. Because loving that which you know, loving that which you know what it is, loving that which corresponds to your values, all of this is human value, human love. It's a level of love, but for you to manage to love that which you do not know, you do not know what it is, which you are not aware of, but for sure is reality, because this is what keeps you alive. This is what gives you life. This is what really gives you life. They are not all the things that you give of yourself to live well, to have health. What really nourishes your life is that which is unknown. So we have this conscious level of ours, and we have this inside there, within our essence. And it's very good that we have this unknown essence very much in mind, this thing that we don't know what it is, but which is the thing. Because between this conscious level and this reality circulate forces of all qualities, and also other beings around, which we must not even imagine what they are. But if we are very much in the search for this unknown, pure, perfect thing that is in the depths of this essence, everything that happens in the middle will always have a solution, always. So if you are going to take care of what happens in the middle, there are horrible monsters in the middle. There are also angelic forms. There are all sorts of things in there. Do you understand? There are all sorts of things between this conscious and this reality. There are all sorts of things. So if you don't try to make this bridge between your current present consciousness, with this, that no one knows what it is, what happens in the middle is very much complicated. And we can slow it down, slow our process of looking for this unknown very much if we are distracted with these monsters, these angels, these things, all of this that happens in the middle. Now, what happens in the middle registers things very strongly in ourselves. So what happens in the middle, which is life, this that happens in the middle can register things in our cells, in our mental cells, in our astral, emotional cells, and in our physical cells. It can make registers in these cells that will compromise very much, which will create serious obstacles to your being closer to this unknown. This is why they have said since the beginning of the spiritual path that we work on detachment. To work on detachment has a hidden sense, a hidden meaning. To work detachment is not the meaning we give outside here. Because you know what is to work on detachment, right? Because there are books about this. There are accounts of true mystical beings about this. We have worked on detachment since we consciously assumed the path. And we really have to work on detachment. Now, if we don't work on detachment, the records that will be in these cells are records that are very strong and very harmful to this dive of ours into the unknown. From time to time, even this intermediary part grasps, captures things, impulses that come from the cosmos, from higher life. This intermediary mechanism in its highest levels can even grasp this also. But even this, we would have to surrender to that which is unknown. We would have to surrender this to this hidden thing within us, within our beings. If we do this surrender to this unknown, this hidden thing, this thing that we will never know what it is, then we will begin to perceive that in these intermediary levels, that which we say, our words, are like child's play. If we don't look for what is behind this word, perhaps what is behind, perhaps what we want to say has nothing to do with speaking. Maybe speech does not express. Even if you speak very well, maybe what you really want to say will not be transmitted. So how will you communicate with another, with someone else, if you know that your word is not enough? If your words are not enough, because the words come from this level there. So how are you going to communicate with others? Then there must be a different sort of communication, a hidden communication, from a hidden part to another hidden part, which is the same. But we have the illusion that is something hidden in someone else. Because if it is hidden, it's one. But we have to look for this. Because as we come closer to this unknown, that which we do not know and love, then we begin to love others without knowing why. There is no reason, no conscious reason or subconscious. There is no reason in this world or for you to love someone else. If you go down to this hidden side of yours, others also have a hidden side, which is the same level of yours. It's the same reality. Then you are really going to love others. You're going to love others in a hidden way. Because everything that is not hidden is an illusion. It is this intermediary zone. So our speech plays at being reality. It does what it can to be reality. Our thought does what it can to be reality. Our human heart does what it can to vibrate well. It does what it can and even manages to be a good heart. Our will also does what it can to be there, attuned, to be there, positive. And all of this is really part of a process of our education, of the education of our bodies. It really carries out a part there. But nothing of this is the hidden side of life where reality is. So we deal with all of this to train, to deal with positive things, with evolutionary things. We occupy ourselves with all of this, but always with this intimate, with this hidden intention of reaching a point where there is nothing of this, where things are, and they simply are. There is no reason, there is no where it is, there is no how it is, there is no how to do it, there is nothing of this. We have to have this intention, because then, there, we will begin to open our eyes to that which gives rise to things, to that which gives rise to what happens. So if you come closer to what gives rise to what happens, you can serve, you can help, you can balance. This that happens in this intermediary area where almost everyone is there, lost around there, being continuously deluded. So you can help in this, even without being totally in that which is hidden, unknown, even without being being openly part of all of this that is hidden. But if you are looking for this, if you are tuning with this, something will happen in the intermediary area, in the intermediary zone. And what is going to happen is that at a certain point you will find your service there. Because every time we transcend something, we are apt to serve on that level that was transcended. Do you understand? Because you have managed to leave this place. So if you have managed to leave this place, for sure you are in contact with hidden things. So you are in conditions to happen. You are in conditions to help that, to do something so that this may be really transformed. But be transformed in the sense of being elevated, of rising, of becoming less material, less conflicted. So all of this is a service. It's a service. And as you look for this unknown, as you love this unknown, this is like this. You can even make a perfect radiography of a being. You are there before this level of reality of the being. You are going to treat them at that level. You're going to take care of them there. But you shouldn't be limited to this level of theirs. You are working with them there. You are helping, serving. You are communicating with them. But your consciousness should be much beyond them, within themselves. Your consciousness should be trying to reach beyond that which they manifest, so for us to really experience this hidden life, we should be aware and conscious that we are all hidden. We we all have our hidden side. So when you are dealing with others, never forget to be considering this hidden side of theirs, which is like yours. On the level of the unknown, this is like yours. Otherwise, you begin to do with others that which is called a palliative process. It's a process that doesn't resolve anything in reality. You do these processes that exchange one thing for another. For example, you manage that a physical body will be liberated of certain evils. This is an illusion, because if the hidden part of the individual is not liberated of this, they will be born with a body that is equally ill. It won't resolve anything if you're not based on that which you do not know. So this is where the need for us to learn not to judge others come from. Even if you are doing a diagnosis, because to treat them on these visible planes, we need to do a diagnosis sometimes, but you should be connected with their hidden part, your hidden part, and their hidden part, where things will really be resolved. Because if it's not so, you treat things here in the plane that you denoted on these intermediary planes, but you really did not resolve things in the individual. So you see how real this is. Because oftentimes for you to help individuals, you need many meetings with them. You need to repeat many practices. And I'm not only speaking of therapeutic practices, I'm speaking of contacting life, the practice of life. So you need to do this many times, because the hidden side part has not been touched. When you touch that which is hidden, something different happens. But things go through a different rhythm, and when they start working in a different rhythm, it causes you to not spend energy with things of these intermediary planes, these unconscious things. Let us leave this to the hierarchies who take care of this, because there are hierarchies to take care of this. All of this is not only with the devil. Devil, I mean the personalized evolutionary forces. This is not only with devil, this emotional, mental, etherical, physical of humanity. It's not only in the hands of devil. There are hierarchies there also to work with this. But we don't know if it is our task to work with this, because to work with this, we need to have a certain hidden knowledge. Not a knowledge of what happens on these planes, not the rules of what happens in these planes, but to really deal with this devilry. Devilry, diavoleria, is a word that is used some Latin language, I don't know which. So to deal with this diavoleria, devilry, you need to be connected with something that is not there. And as this has many levels, on the highest levels, there are very beautiful things that belong to there. But they belong to this level. So we really would need to love that which is hidden, which is unknown. Love these parts of ours that we will never really come to know. All of this gradually shows itself when we, let us use a word that everyone thinks it's complicated, but it's not so much. When we contemplate, that is to say, when we are before things, contemplating. Contemplating means before things, really before things, without placing between us and things our ideas, our judgments, our feelings, our will. Contemplate is to be before things without anything. We without anything. Do you perceive what we have to train? And this begins in a very simple way. When you look at someone and form a judgment about them, you should try to dissolve this judgment and say, I'm sorry. You say to their essence, I'm sorry, essence, for forming this judgment. Let us dissolve this and I will look again. And while you do not manage to look without feeling anything, without thinking anything, feeling anything, without wanting to know anything, you are not contemplating. Some contemplatives say that when you manage to reach this point, we contact true beauty, true order, true harmony. This is what they say. We will only make this experience when we manage to do this. But, of course, this contemplation is the opposite of rationality. It is the opposite of mechanisms, reasonings. And we are on these levels. We are even incarnated. If we are incarnated, we are well inside of all these levels. So we have to be there. We cannot make a suicide of this, because it doesn't exist. There is no possibility for you to make a suicide. So you are there, but you have to be there while you have a task there, but having in mind that it is the hidden, the unknown, that which you will never see or know. This is where the best of your love goes to, which is the love that only goes. It doesn't even know where it's going to go. It's the best of love, the best of this energy, because we have this energy on many levels. So the best of love is this, that which goes without knowing anything, without knowing anything in our way of seeing things. There is the one who knows, he knows. And just as this energy that is very creative in the hidden exists, there are also many forces that are hidden that don't lead to this direction precisely. And we have to be very conscious to find that many things that we don't know what they are, how they work, we don't know how they act. And then we have to love that which you will never know, so that you won't make connections with this that is on these intermediary levels, because these connections may compromise clarity very much further on. So we really need to give a different value to detachment. Not only detachment of becoming liberated. No, it is detachment itself. We don't need to look something doesn't need to appear before you for you to become detached of this. You must love detachment itself, because then anything that appears, you don't have to work on detachment. You have detachment in yourself. Do not wait to love this detachment, because detachment is the door. The detachment is the portal. It is the entrance door to that which is hidden. If there is no detachment, you don't pass through this doorway. You pass through other doorways that exist. There are many doorways, but the door to the unknown, the doorway to the unknown, you won't pass if you have attachments. And it's necessary to be very careful not to be attached to all these ideas. Very careful. Because if you get attached to these ideas without meaning to, you will begin to putting structures, masks, put vests or garments in that which you're going to find. Then it stops being hidden and it becomes your creation.